Hi, my name is Garrett, and I am the founder of 10x.dev, where we help companies find Elixir developers and Elixir developers find jobs in Elixir. So if you guys are hiring, reach out to me. I'd love to help. We basically augment your interview process for you so that you are able to just receive pre-vetted candidates ready to be hired. If that's something that's interesting to you, I'd love to talk to you. Go to my website, 10x.dev, and we can grab a time to chat. If you're a developer, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking me out. Please, if you enjoy the content, comment and subscribe. I'd love to have this be kind of an interactive thing. So if you have questions, reach out to me. And if you've got critiques or ways that I can improve my code, I'd love to help. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to build out a real world problem and solution for one of my clients. So basically, I am building out a connection to an external API called LocalFalcon, which is a SaaS tool for SEO companies and whatnot to be able to track their performance for their clients. And so yesterday we worked through basically setting up the initial connections to this API, doing tests, using bypass and request, which were two tools that I had not used before. So that was a little bit fun to kind of dive into that. And we're just going to kind of pick up where we left off. So we're going to jump into the test that we kind of were stuck on, where we wanted to be able to paginate through one of the requests to be able to get all the data that we had for a specific location. So we'll kind of get into all that again, but I just want to summarize kind of where we left off and where we're going next. And so let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and have this thing share. Also, a couple things to note. Last time, I was doing this on my big monitor, and so if you watch my last video, it is super tiny font, and that is after I bumped it up personally and thought that it was going to be large enough, but it was definitely really, really small, and I apologize for that, and I wish it would have been bigger, but it is what it is. So this time, hopefully this is better. I'm going to be doing it on my little laptop so that I don't have to worry about trying to make everything absolutely massive on the monitor and it end up still being small. So hopefully this is nice and condensed and will show up great. Okay, so we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. So I'll kind of just run through what we have. So we have an initial, we have our app named Perseus, and then we're connecting specifically to the LocalFalcon API. So what we're going to do is we want to get locations, and we basically want to display those on the UI is our goal. And I actually have, let's see here in this Perseus thing here. So our first objective here was call out to the locations API endpoint and get all the locations. Only grab the name, place ID, and address from the API call and make sure we're getting all the data from the API. If not, we need to paginate. And we verified, I'm pretty sure we verified on the UI, sorry, on the docs yesterday, that there didn't seem to be any need to paginate the locations. It seems they just give you all those. So I'm not sure what happens when that gets really large, but they must just send all the data. And then for each location, we want to collect the reports by place ID. We want to capture the solve type scan radius, which is the radius combined with the measurement, the timestamp. So we want to capture all that stuff and then make sure we're getting all the data from the API. So we pretty much got all that done. We're just now in the pagination step. And so basically we want to be able to paginate through these different results, these different API calls. And the way that we know how to do that is it tells us somewhere here. So we're calling this reports API. We're listing all the previous run scans by location because we're passing in a place ID here. And then this thing tells us down here that we'll get a next token if there is a next page result. So they do the hash, they determine, hey, they called, this limit with this offset basically of 0 to whatever, 0 to 100 is what we have. And they'll calculate the next hash based on the next set of results that we need to get. So they kind of manage that pagination for us and just give us a token. So it says if more records exist within the limit, they'll basically give us a next token. So that's what we're trying to work on now. And the part that I got stuck on yesterday was, or that we left off on and got stuck on, was if I go to our LocalFalcon tests, was being able to basically have a test. I was thinking I could do 2 bypass expects, and then the first call I say there is a token, and then the next call I say that there is no token. And so That didn't quite work because bypass expects to just call that same function every single time for the result set. So I'm thinking that's not going to work, and we need just one bypass expect. And what we can do is we'll have to figure that out in just a minute, but I'll just kind of run through again what we have. So we're using this request library, which I've never used before, so that's pretty fun to try out. We're basically just pattern matching down with the API call here. So we're making a call out to locations. We're passing in the parameters. In this case, the first call just needs the API key for the locations call. We pattern match on the success of that, grab out the locations, and then pass those to the caller. If that fails, then we'll try to discern a message here from the API. Otherwise, we'll just say, hey, we weren't able to do it. And then we also have our list reports by location, which is super similar. We'll basically just run through this, and then we're currently in the pagination logic now, which is what we're working through to be able to say, hey, look, if this token is empty, then we'll basically be done calling it. If it's got a token, then we'll call the function again and basically have just a recursive loop here that will call that thing until there's no more results to grab. So one of the things to note is I also tried out something cool here, which was basically at compile time, depending on the mix env here, we are fetching the config and then merging in this process dictionary or whatever it's called to be able to process by process override any config that we want so that it doesn't conflict with other tests. So that allows us to have highly concurrent tests, and we can run everything with XUnit async and no issues there. And then when it's not in the test environment, we just define our normal config as LocalFalcon. I noted yesterday that a developer that I was interviewing showed me this, and I thought it was really cool. So that's one of the perks of me being able to personally interview developers in a technical capacity is I get to learn lots of new things without needing to necessarily work with the developers. So cool. So where we're at now is we need to make sure this works. And then one of the things that might be useful to do is not run bypass on this and just see if we can get something going. All right, so I'm going to do this. Start up our application. I want to be able to call Perseus.localFalcon, list location. And then I want to be able to get the first one, list that first. Okay, and I really want out of there the name. No, I want the place ID. That didn't work because it's coming as a tuple. All right, so I want to get the second item in the tuple because it's an OK tuple. That still didn't work. I like to just blindly program apparently. So let's see what we got here. No, not implemented for that. Okay, what am I? I don't want enum at. What am I thinking of here? I want I'm thinking of elem. Okay, cool. So now we got our place ID. That's defined in our place ID. Now we're going to say, all right, we just want one place ID. We're going to go to, clear this, Perseus.LocalFalcon dot list location, list, what was it? Reports by location, and we got a place ID. Okay. And then we're looking for next token. Ah, they put false. See, that's what I was looking at in the docs. It didn't really seem like they didn't specify anything about like turns an array of scan information. If more records exist, then is allowed within the set limit of value we returned on the next token that can be used to pull the next page results. Okay, let's see if they, yeah, that page doesn't exist. That's nice. And the next token, this parameter is used to get the next page results values parameter. So they don't say like it defaults to false or anything like that. So it was good to call it just to see, because I had in the logic here of the actual thing. So if this is going to be false, so unless false, yeah, probably should switch these. Let's switch them out. Okay, so if next token, we want to add the next token to the params. Otherwise, we don't. Okay. Great. Oops. All right, I really want to see if this works again. So I'm going to do um, maybe on our call over here, I can do enum at 2. I want a location that has a next token. Okay, what did I do here? Next token, false, report 0. Okay, so that one just had 0 reports. Yes. Okay, this one had a few. Looks like it also gives you the location. Okay, so I'm going to drop this limit down to 1 and then see if that paginates it for me. Okay. Unable to call locations. Why did that fail? That is 400. You must specify a valid limit, 10 to 100. Okay. I was hoping I could get around the pagination there by doing that, but I need to do a limit of 10. Okay. Try it again. My guess is it won't call it more than more than once. All right, I need to find one with more, but let's see here. You know what I could do is I could actually just not call the place ID right now, because the place ID is going to limit those results to just one place. So I don't actually need to find a specific, I don't need to filter it down by a specific place right now. I want to get as many results as I can back so that I can see what the next token logic looks like and make sure that I'm handling that appropriately. Okay, so it looks like it's calling that out. There's a lot of them. I'm going to try it with 100 again, so that now I can hopefully have less API calls, and then I don't really care about the data right now, just because I want to be able to see, unless it fails. Okay, shouldn't have killed that. Perseus, LocalFalcon, list reports by location, and then we had a place ID. But we'll just copy this one for now. Don't really care since it is not filtering by that. All right, time to enjoy some coffee while this runs. So we're getting quite a few results here. Well, we know the pagination's working. I just don't know that when it turns what happens when we are done with results. It's going to work appropriately. Oh yeah, it stopped. So then we should see past all this data somewhere in the middle. We didn't see the next token go to 0, or sorry, false. I feel like we should have seen that. Why didn't we? If that's that. Right, because I was inspecting. Oh, I guess it wouldn't, if it came back, we wouldn't have called it again to see the params. So on the last one, it ends up being false. And we see that the specific value itself returned not truthy, which then made it go to this, and we got all the results back. Okay, so I think it's working. We're just going to say that it's a string, otherwise it's false. So now we're going to try to test that. It currently works. Way to go, Garrett, with the first attempt success on that one. All right, so we're going to do, we got mixed test here. Got our mixed test watch. We're going to go specifically to 92 apparently. 92 list reports by that. Okay, so we're just going to do that describe block. And at first, I think actually it will be an infinite loop. So the problem that I got stuck on yesterday was I want to be able to pass in the next token. So now we know this is false. I want to be able to pass in the next token here. I was trying it with this function. So basically, we have to do it in this guy. So we're going to expect that bypass gets called more than once. So we're not going to use once. And I suppose on the other ones, I can specify, hey, we are only being called once. Right, that's helpful to know. So up here, oh, I am using expect once. Okay, great. But here, if I use expect once, I should expect that it's called twice, so that will fail. But here, we should expect it's called only 2 times in our example. But what we'll do is, whoops, we are going to, so we got the params. If we have a token, so if con the params next token, bypass here. All right, so we basically, I just want to check, like, what are we getting here? I'm thinking, because we can't define 2 of these things because it just overrides the one before it, I don't necessarily want to do like any external state, like a process that we're like saving an increment or 2. So I was just thinking we could basically test it based off of conditional in here. So if we're getting, um, we're getting the next token. So initially what we call it, we're going to get nothing, right? Is what I would expect. Sheesh. So initially I would expect we get nothing. Next token in bypass. Okay, so we're getting that call. Initially, all right, hold on, let's think about this. I would expect, let me just kind of talk through this. Okay, I'm defining this expectation, and I'm calling list reports by location. But if we look at our definition of list reports by location, we are saying next token, this should be false. If next token is true, add it. Otherwise, don't add it. So I should expect that it's not here on the first call because it's not passed to the parameters. Initially, the parameters are not receiving a next token because we don't know yet. This is our first time calling to the API. So if we have a next token, and I suppose I didn't say here. Okay, so maybe that's the point. So, Garrett, you didn't get a log here because it was truthy. Or was, yeah, it was false. It was falsy, so you didn't get the match there. Let's try this. Now I should only get 1 log. 1 log of the initial log that I did. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, so if that's nil, which again it should be, well, I guess it's nil because it wasn't even in the params. Okay, so if is nil, this guy, then we're going to add in the next token. Otherwise, we are doing false. and that will be our little hack to hopefully fix this here. All right, we got next token there. Okay, now initially we call it, let's see if that fixes it. Place ID. Oh, I stripped place ID out. Haha. Whoops. All right, making progress. Now only one failure. This is very difficult to do on a tiny laptop, by the way. I'm used to the big monitor. Start receive. Next token. We got API key, example next token. The following variables were pinned. Is it just failing because of the... All right, let's try this. We want next token to be... I want to see if hard coding it worked. First, my face is in the way here. Okay, if next token is provided, we call API results. What? It is failing on the decode. Okay. JSON decode. So that means that passed. So I want to basically just say, feels hacky, but I'm gonna string trim that one. Let's see if that fixes the... Yeah, I can't do that. Okay, basically I want quoted. All right, so now we're going back into, we're trying to make this next token and next token quoted. So I'm trying to think the best way to do that. Basically, I want to interpolate this variable. Next token, but I want it to be like wrapped in strings. So let's try something like that. Right, so I gotta go down here and say next token. Okay, so that, I think that worked there. Cool, so now reading some some data issues here. Okay, JSON decode. Let's see what we're getting. When I inspect this guy, what is base? Oops. Killed the terminal there, apparently. Okay, so now I'm going to see here. What do I want to do? I want to delete that guy. I gotta figure out why this JSON decode is blowing up. So that is the sample data. See what is failing about it. Oh, it's a function. Duh. Come on, Garrett. I made it a function earlier, and we. Oh, which one falls there? Okay, what's the difference? Getting a list there. And we're getting a second one on the other one. So we want, that's right. We basically want to check, hey, if we call this twice. Right. All right, I'm just gonna get these two together. And we'll say that should equal all reports. Unexpected token. Yeah, I keep hitting that. All right, this guy over here. All right. So that should pass. Guys, we are crushing it. Let's just run our whole test suite here. 7 tests. All right, cool. So we got the pagination thing. I would say that that's decently tested. I'm not too sad about our solution here. I think that's decent. All right, so let's just double check. We got all of my own specs out of here. I think they're all in this guy. Delete that one. Delete that one. And then we had one down here, but the failed response. Mark that one like that again. Okay. So now we're cooking. Now we have all of the locations and all of the reports and they're tested. Okay, so now if we go to the Perseus thing here, so for each location, get the data, and now we want to be able to say, all right, we have our endpoints to get the locations and the reports, and then we want to display the locations on the UI. Okay, And then we have like the specific values that we want there. So we are going to work through that. All right. So basically, I normally don't like using the generators because I feel like they just create so much extra stuff. But I think I'm going to try to use the generator for this because it's nice sometimes as well to just not have to think about exactly where everything goes. So we're going to do live view, go to the hex docs, and we want to do gen. And this actually might need to be under the Phoenix docs. So let's do Phoenix hex docs, gen live. Generates live view, templates, and context for resource. First arguments in the context module. Context module. Yep. Don't know if I'm sold. All right, let's just go ahead and do it ourselves. Okay, so folder, got the live directory. We're going to say this is going to be all right, so we'll do def module, Perseus web. We're going to do LocalFalcon, Falcon. And then I did locations, live. Okay, here, I can't remember on the James Stocks, this part always confuses me. It says, if your apps do that, then use this. Okay. We got the live view there, which comes pre-baked. All right, now we want to be able to mount on this guy. So it's like params, session, socket, I think. And then here we want to do OK, socket, and then def render, signs. And then here we got our heap. Multi-line string, we'll say hello. Where is he? Div. Okay. And we should have Tailwind support, so I should probably check that. We'll say I forget what it is. Is it like font or text or something? Let's look it up. Tailwind CSS. How do you make large text? Font size. Text, yeah. Extra large. Is that right? XL. Okay, we'll get a warning there. We want to do our router. We want to say when we go to this guy, we're going to do live. Put that up for now. Okay, that's going to be locations live index. Oops. Okay. So now if I do ix-next, I might need to start the server here. It's saying I got an error. Push. Okay. No clause matching. I'll have to do the string there. And I didn't start the server, I'm pretty sure. So here I will do, I think it's on endpoint server true. Still don't know why they don't start that by default, at least in dev. And this should be port 1400. Okay. Go there. We got our hello. Doesn't look extra large though. This thing is blocking my screen. Can't see the hello. Okay. Are we not getting tailwind then? I need my tailwind. It's very important. Got the body. Where's that thing? It's in here. Main container. Text XL hello. Let's see. Does that match the dev? Or maybe it's under config. Tailwind's going to look in specific directories. Where's that? What am I thinking? Tailwind config. Okay, so if you are in the lib web anything .ex, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm right here. I should be. No, I'm not in the web ex. I'm in anything.webex. I'm pretty sure you don't need to specify like a. I don't think you need to do that either, but we can check. Still not massive unless that is massive. Maybe that's considered massive on this. What's the largest one I can get? 9XL. Let's try it. I want margin left 20. Oh yeah, it's working, baby. See, I don't think I needed that other config there. Let me try to remove it and see if that helps. Or if it still works, I should say. Okay, yep, it was just I didn't make it quite big enough. It's being hidden by this little recording thing I have here. Okay, so we got the tailwind working. Let's close all these things up. All right, so now we got something going here. So basically on mount here, we want to be able to list the locations. And display them in the socket. So we're going to do socket, assign, locations, okay? So on load, and this is gonna obviously have to be namespace So oops, I'm going to do LocalFalcon. Got the module there. So LocalFalcon lists locations. We'll do that on load. And then let's just do oops, E4. There we go. Location in locations. And I want a location name. And it's an OK tuple, I forgot. Oops, don't want to go all the way. All right, what am I missing here? So I get the locations. Is it printing those out? Oops, made my text small again. Location name, that must be null or something. All right, let me just check what these locations are. Oh, it's not a string. I made the I put keys as atoms, and then that's bit me a few times now. So we'll do location name, and that should pop up. Okay, boom. So I got all those on there. I keep accidentally making this font size smaller, which I don't want to do. There we go. Leave it as that. Okay, so now we got those locations broken up, and we want to be able to have those. What was our objective here? Display each location in the UI. We want location name. We got that. City, state, and zip. Current average solve. Initial solve. So we're going to have to do some calculations for all that. So we'll just start off with the table. And I always like to do, I have Tailwind UI. I've heard of pedal components. That looks cool. But if you're going to have Tailwind components, you might as well do it from the people who created it, right? I think so. But pedal components is like really cool. I like it a lot. All right, we're going to components here. We're going to look for table. They revamped these recently. Tables. Yeah, look at these tables. Kind of table we want here. This one looks nice. Some statuses, some cool stuff. Tables broken down. Ooh. All right, we're just going to do the top one. And I just want, I think I just want this. I need that last one. Okay, let's try it out. And Heeks is so great. It lets you know when you have extra. So Heeks is the templating language, if you don't know, for LiveView here in Phoenix now. So it's this sigil H here. So if I have extra opening or closing or whatever, it's a compile time check for the HTML. Great. It's great. I love it. Okay, let's see. So I got locations. I got those printing out here. We really want to be able to have these guys. So this will be name still. Perfect. This guy will be title. What did we say we needed? location name, city, state, and zip. We'll start off with a couple easy ones. So, city. My face is right in the way of this. City, state, zip. And then here we got the, should say solve. Do that for now. Okay. And then down here, we can have a row. So E4. Oops, I like that. Location and locations. Drop this guy down for each row. And then I think we want all these to be yeah, we want all these to be here. Okay, so we got first one's going to be location.name. Next one's going to be location dot, what do we say? City. So let's just say, what was the, address. Perfect. Maybe we'll just leave that as address for now. This one will be location dot, we have solve. I don't know if we have the solve. We'll probably have to just fix that for now. I think the solve is going to come from the reports, so we'll have to calculate that. That's why we wanted the reports by location. We'll calculate the average solve, the initial solve by getting the first date report, and then we can get like the latest month's solve, which is, I believe, the sale of local voice. So here we'll do nothing for now. You'd say like 3.5. And I think this guy has to be on the last one. So I'm still printing out the names. Okay, got our table. We can say here that we have, I'm sure they had a nice little intro there that I probably could have used. Locations, list of all the locations. I can't see. It's my face again. List of all the locations. From the LocalFalcon API. In this case, our users know that they're going to be getting that from the LocalFalcon API. I'm going to go to the templates, root. And I don't think I really want any of this stuff. So okay. What else are we going to delete here? We want to delete pretty much the header stuff for now. We'll delete that. Cool. Now we've got a table, all the locations. Next step, we'd have to calculate their solve. I'm going to remove that ion spec. Obviously, this thing is going to complain about the params. All right, 230 milliseconds. Pretty good. So we get rate limited on this API, and we get if we have multiple users using it often, looking at different locations and back and forth and back and forth, we also want to be able to fetch all of the reports per location, which then we have to then call that reports API a bunch of times. It does rate limit you, and we only get so many credits to call it. So what we're going to do is implement a cache next time. So we got this thing going. We displayed the results in the UI. It's tested. What we'll do is next time we will write a live view test to just ensure that as we're going to mock out the locations call again. We'll expect that we see those results on the UI, and then we'll start digging into, all right, calculating the solve, which is going to just deal with capturing those reports and then determining from each report which, what the beginning solve is, what the current solve is. We'll get the average of all of them and all that stuff, all the data that we want to be able to see, and capture that in the different columns on the UI, make it look real pretty with Tailwind. And then I also want to be able to do caching. So we'll look into different caching options and we'll see, hey, what's the best bet for us? I'm biased and I'll probably just do ETS, but we can look into what would it look like for having different cache options and why I would probably choose ETS over other ones. Because there's like 5 ways that you can cache natively in Elixir. You have the persistent term, which is used for kind of like hardly ever written to, but read such as config values and stuff like that. You have the gen server, obviously, for process, in-process memory, so that holds the state and then you can access it. We have ETS, you have the amnesia, and you have, what's the other one I'm missing out on here? There's another one, there's a 5th one. Anyway, there's a 5th one somewhere, somewhere in my brain. Anyway, so we'll kind of dig into those. We also could put it in the database. I've thought about that, but I'm not sure we want to do it. I always am a little weary of doing that just because then there's a couple issues potentially with the API. If their terms of service specifically say you can't basically scrape their data and store it as your own, they might not like that. I haven't read through their terms of service. Another downside to doing that would be cache invalidation, basically, because this is a cache. I understand it is historical data, but sometimes we're going to not want to display the data anyway because the location becomes irrelevant if the client of the SEO agency is no longer working with them or whatever the case might be. We'll have to manage those things. Also, as you're getting new data from the API, if the data for the month change, so for instance, you're getting the current information, but that month the information changed, you want to be able to effectively update that, but you also want to make sure you have all the historical data. So we'll have to go through and basically say, if it doesn't exist, insert it, that type of stuff. So it just seems a little bit easier to be able to say, hey, look, twice a day or once a day or whatever the interval we want to be able to cache this at, we're going to essentially wipe the table and just reinsert it. I think that'd be fine. It only seemed like that getting all the reports for every location only took like 30 seconds maybe. So I don't think it'll be that bad to just have 30 seconds where we're waiting on that data to be grabbed. Also, we could implement a intermediary fix there. But we also if we're going to fetch all the data, we could fetch all the data we need, keep the data in ETS as we're doing that so the users can access it. And then last minute when we're ready, we'll just swap the data out. So we'll delete this and reinsert it, and that shouldn't be too bad. So All right, just to wrap up, thank you guys for watching and for being a part of this. I'm hoping that the font size issue was better. Please comment if you have any questions or ways that I can improve and things that you noticed. Different cool new techniques. I know LiveView is always changing and it's moving quick just because it's not a 1.0. So they are deprecating some things or moving them or adding new stuff that I probably don't know about. I'm trying my best to keep up with it, but there's always new things there. I know we didn't get too much into LiveView, but we will this next time just because we're going to be building out the UI for that. So as we go and do that, please subscribe so you can follow along with this. My goal, as I mentioned before, was to do this probably daily, at least 5 days a week. So I will do my best to keep up with that and just produce some content out there. If you are looking for a job, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you find a company that's using Elixir. And if you are working at a company that's hiring, reach out to me. I'd love to connect with the hiring manager at your company to be able to talk through how we can best assist you and be able to provide you pre-vetted Elixir developers ready to be hired that are rock stars. So I basically take them through these a technical assessment similar to what I'm doing here. And so you can kind of see what they're able to deliver and the technical capabilities that they have before you even need to interview them. So reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you and talk to you. And hopefully you enjoy this content. All right. Talk to you soon.